Star Wars gaming. Aside to the Star Wars franchise that's been strong for many years, from the LEGO Star Wars games to Battlefront 1 and 2, and even the recent Jedi franchise. But what's next? What games can we actually look forward to, and what will be released over these next few years? Well, in this video, we're going to break down every single upcoming Star Wars video game, and let's just say it's a lot more games than you might think. So let's get right into it. Fate of the Old Republic. Entering the first game on our list, we have Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, a game that many fans are excited for. Fate of the Old Republic will be a new single-player narrative-driven action RPG that is supposed to be the spiritual successor to the original Knights of the Old Republic game. Luckily for us, we do know a little bit about the game. In this game, you'll be playing as a Force user, and the time period will take place during the end of the Old Republic era. For those that don't know, that's close to about 1,000 years before the Clone Wars. However, that's not all. The director of this game will be Casey Hudson, who if you don't know is the director of KOTOR 1 and 2. This says a lot, because with Hudson directing this new game, we can assume it'll honor those original KOTOR games. Keep in mind though, this game won't be a sequel or anything to KOTOR, but instead its own standalone game. According to Douglas Riley, who works at Lucasfilm Games, he said the following: "Although Fate of the Old Republic is not a direct sequel or a continuation to KOTOR, it is being built by people who helped shape that legacy. Not only is Casey Hudson returning to work on the game, but tons of the original developers on KOTOR will also work on Fate of the Old Republic, which in my opinion is huge. From just the trailer alone, the visuals look absolutely stunning. Although it was brief, we do see this female Jedi traveling through the stormy planet, and by the end she ignites her blue lightsaber. In my opinion, the game looks really promising, and the graphics look phenomenal, but we do need to talk about the release date. It's rumored to most likely be released in 2030, but director Casey Hudson says otherwise. According to a tweet he made, he said, "Don't worry about the not till 2030 rumors. Game will be out before then. I'm not getting any younger." So with that, we can only hope that we do receive it before then, but at the moment it's still unsure. Currently, it's still in the early stages of creation and development, but I have no doubt that Fate of the Old Republic will be amazing once it's ready. Star Wars Galactic Racer. As for the next game on our list, we have none other than Star Wars Galactic Racer, a game that many Star Wars fans have been wanting for more than 20 years. A Star Wars racing game. The last time we had a racing game like this was the original Star Wars Racer that was released in 1999, and now Galactic Racer will essentially be a brand new version of that. However, there are a few differences. Unlike the original, Galactic Racer will be a story-focused racer game that takes place just after Return of the Jedi. In it, you'll play as a racer named Shade, and you'll join what's called the Galactic League of Racing, and work your way up to the top. What's fun is that every race course will be on different planets throughout the Outer Rim, and depending on the track you play on, the harder the difficulty will be. Some planets seen in the trailer were Jakku and Ando Prime, which was in the original Racer game, but there's also a brand new planet called Sentinel-1. Sentinel-1 is said to be a toxic wasteland filled with acid, which makes the race course extremely difficult. Now, I think the biggest change from this game compared to the 1999 Racer game is the vehicle options. In the original, all you played with were pond racers, while in this game it's a bit different. From what was shown in the trailer, there's tons of different vehicle options. In it, we see land speeders, speeder bikes, and even ski speeders. Although it's not confirmed that there will be pod racers in the game, I assume there will be, just because we get this teaser at the end of the trailer. If you don't know, that's the sound of Sebulba's pod racer from the Phantom Menace, which sounds identical. Plus, he does actually appear in the trailer, so that gives me high hopes. Now, the best part about this game is that it's actually not going to be far away from release. From what we know, Galactic Racer will be coming out sometime in 2026. It'll be developed by a company called Fuse Games, who's worked on many racing games in the past. They've worked on the Need for Speed games, the Burnout games, and even Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault. All those games are absolutely fantastic, so I have no doubt Galactic Racer will continue that trend. On top of that, it is said that there will be a multiplayer mode as well, where you can enter PvP matches with up to 12 players. Sadly, we don't know much about the multiplayer mode yet, but there are rumors that there will be crossplay available so you can play against your friends no matter what platform they're on. Like most games, Galactic Racer will also be released on the major platforms, which includes PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Honestly, I think this game has a lot of promise, and the fact that it's releasing so soon is a huge plus for Star Wars fans. Star Wars Eclipse. One of the most hyped and anticipated games on this list is none other than Star Wars Eclipse. In 2021, we received a trailer for this game, and since then the trailer has blown up with over 22 million views on the main Star Wars YouTube channel. However, here's the problem. Ever since that trailer release, we haven't heard much about the game, so many fans thought the game was just forgotten about. Luckily though, we have some recent good news that says otherwise. The developers behind the game Quantic Dream have recently confirmed that the game is still in active development, and it's being worked on as we speak. If you don't know, Quantic Dream also worked on the game Detroit Become Human, which is extremely popular and well respected. In that game, you basically could have many different endings based on the choices you make, so many believe that's the same style Eclipse might have too. Sadly, at the moment, we don't know what the game will be about. but based on the trailer, the visuals look absolutely stunning. However, we do know that it will take place during the High Republic era, which would be a few hundred years before the Phantom Menace. What's great is that in the trailer, it seems like the game has a lot to offer. In it, we see a few different battle scenes on the ground, space fights, new planets, and even some familiar faces like Yoda. According to the founder of Quantic Dream, David Cage, he said the following about Eclipse. Of course, development of Star Wars Eclipse continues, and we're eager to share more with you in the future. So while we don't have an exact release date yet, the future is bright for Eclipse, and if all goes well, hopefully we'll get this project sooner than we expect. Star Wars Zero Company. Entering our next game, we have Star Wars Zero Company, a game that's also coming out in 2026. However, unlike the others we've spoken about, Zero Company will be a turn-based tactics game that takes place during the peak of the Clone Wars. Now personally, I've never played a turn-based tactics game before, but if you're familiar with these types of games, it's said to be very similar to Warhammer 40,000 and the XCOM games. In the game, you'll be commanding a squad called Zero Company, and with this group you'll be going on intense missions throughout the Clone Wars. Throughout it, you'll be put up against different threats, so it's really up to you to train and upgrade your squad to win your fights out on the battlefield. What's fun is that you can customize your squad however you want, so you can literally be teaming up with a clone trooper, a Mandalorian, and a droid, and just go on missions all together. This game will be developed by Respawn and Bit Reactor, and some of the devs actually worked on the XCOM games in the past. From what the devs have said, Zero Company will be a very different strategy game to anything we've ever seen, so the hopes for it are extremely high. Like I mentioned earlier, this game is set to be released in 2026 and will also be on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Knights of the Old Republic. On to the next confirmed game being released, we have the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Now, unlike the others on this list, this one needs no introduction. Back in 2003 and 2004, we received KOTOR 1 and 2, and those games have some of the highest ratings out of any Star Wars game ever made. Now, here's where things get interesting though. In 2021, we received a teaser trailer for a remake of KOTOR, and in the trailer we saw a new and incredible looking version of Darth Revan. Although the trailer didn't show a ton, it did confirm that we would be getting this remake exclusively to PlayStation and PC. In a nutshell, this game is supposed to be a complete revamp of the original KOTOR game. Graphics, gameplay, designs, everything. However, here's the problem. Back in 2021, Aspyr Entertainment were supposed to be the ones developing this game, but that all quickly changed. Just 1 year later, it was moved from Aspyr over to another company called Saber Interactive, all because of struggling development. Ever since then, Saber Interactive has been working on the remake instead, and although it's not confirmed, the estimated release will be around 2027 or 2028. It's even rumored that in time there will also be a remake for KOTOR 2 following this release, but that's just pure speculation for now. Now, although Aspyr is not working on the remake anymore, they did recently share some screenshots from the game during their time of working on it. Although these renders are far from finished, they give us a bit of a rough idea of how some of the weapons look like. However, like we just mentioned, now it's in the hands of Saber Interactive, and from what it sounds like, they're making progress by the day. Amy Hennig's Star Wars game. Entering the next game to release, this one is a bit of an unusual one. Back in 2022, writer and director Amy Hennig announced a new Star Wars game along with the company called Skydance. Now, if you don't know, Amy Hennig directed the first 3 Uncharted games, which were pretty popular among fans. However, her upcoming Star Wars game is supposed to be pretty promising, and here's everything we know about it. The game currently doesn't have a title, but it's supposed to be a narrative-driven action-adventure game. When asked about it, Hennig shared, "I've often described how seeing Star Wars in 1977 essentially rewired my 12-year-old brain, shaping my creative life and future indelibly. I'm elated to be working with Lucasfilm Games again to tell interactive stories in this galaxy that I love." Unfortunately, that's about all we know at the current moment. We don't have any title, gameplay, or release date in mind, but we can expect it to be similar to the Uncharted games, which were packed with adventure, action, and mystery. A lot of the focus on those games was going on adventures to find ancient relics and treasure, yet also experience challenges throughout your journey. In a way, it reminds me of the show Skeleton Crew. Fun, adventurous, but also mysterious at times. Hopefully we learn more about this game soon, because honestly I love the sound of it so far. Star Wars Jedi 3. Arguably the game that most fans are excited for, we have Star Wars Jedi 3, the third installment in the Jedi franchise after Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Just like the previous 2 games, we'll be following the story of Cal Kestis along with BD-1 and most likely Marin. Similar to Zero Company, Jedi 3 will also be developed by Respawn, who did a phenomenal job with the first 2 games. Now sadly, we don't have a title for this game, nor do we have a release date, but it is expected to release around 2027. On top of that, we do know a bit of info on the game already. Respawn themselves did share that the goal for this game is to raise the bar for both storytelling and gameplay. Unfortunately though, there is a bit of bad news. The lead developer for the past 2 games, Stig Asmussen, will not be returning as he is no longer with the company. Instead, he went on to create his own game studio, so he will have no involvement in Jedi 3. However, at least we know it's still being worked on, and hopefully they honor his work from the previous 2 games, since they were absolutely amazing. On top of that, it's worth mentioning that this third installment will most likely conclude Cal Kestis' story. Since the start, the plan was for there to be 3 total Jedi games, and with this now being the third, it will most likely be the end of his chapter now. Whether or not he'll die or live on is up for debate, but considering what a great actor Cameron Monaghan is, I assume it won't be the last time we see him appear in a Star Wars project. While we don't know the plot of the next game yet, we can assume that Cal will be a lot more mature now, and will continue to be on the run from the Empire. He'll likely be training Bode's daughter Kata, and with it being the finale of the Jedi games, we can expect a much darker, more emotional story to what we already got. Regardless, I'm excited for this game, and I hope we learn more about it soon. With that, that concludes our list of every single upcoming Star Wars video game. But I want to know from you, out of every game we've spoken about, which one are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.